I have wasted my life, obviously that stuck out to me.
The final line, I have wasted my life.
Where it says, I have wasted my life, to me it's almost like a sarcastic comment.
I feel like that's the whole poem itself, like, has gaps that it's just really just description about what's around him. It takes you on this path, like, that you want something to happen.
Definitely once you get to that last line, you can sense some tension.
Ended on a rather gruesome and dark note, and I enjoy that.
So he's using literary devices just to deeper describe what he's seeing.
Wright uses a lot of literary devices such as alliteration and personification, and I think this kind of helps give a sense that he is observing the world instead of talking about his own life. And the fact that it's in free verse kind of gives it the sense that he's not really playing any specific role in life, and I think that's what he's trying to say, where he builds up to this final line, I have wasted my life.
Describing things that he may be seeing and or feeling.
It seems like he's enjoying like just being outdoors and being in like a natural place.
It's important to notice that the first 12 lines kind of build up to that final 13th line, and I think having an odd number of lines kind of makes the poem come to an abrupt ending.
I thought the ending was ambiguous.
It's a poem. Of course it's ambiguous.
Their songs grow suicidally beautiful. I thought that stuck out. Just the contrast in two words together between suicidally and beautiful.
Mentioned the word suicidal, and I've never heard that used in a happy context.
My favorite line from this poem is the line, dying for love, because aren't we all?
Their women cluck like starved pullets, dying for love. The fact that he used the word cluck made me think it was a simile referencing them to like chickens.
The poem is kind of set up like an equation. First stanza, I noticed a catalog where he kind of lists all the different groups of people that are coming together. The second stanza, he's kind of talking about the problems that might be going on at home, and this hints at the tension that could be going on in the poem. And in the last stanza, he kind of brings it all back to the football team. And in a way, this is the end-all sacrifice that the town uses to bring everyone together.
The poem reminds me of football.
High school football, maybe a team losing. Seems like there's like a sad tone at the end.
The poem is not necessarily happy.
The fact that he uses the term gallop to describe the football players gives me a sense that he's hinting at a metaphor, comparing the players to horses or some other kind of animal. Maybe Wright's trying to say that we're nothing more than animals as human beings.
And nobody would commit suicide only to find beyond death Bridgeport, Ohio.
I think he very easily could have put the word only in the second line, but instead he chose to tack it on to the first, and that kind of gives this the sense that it's all flowing together.
I found it to be rather depressing.
It's depressing as hell.
So, even in death, do they not escape their woes and their sorrows?
It makes the comparison even stronger that it's either hell or like a hell-seeming city.
It leaves one wondering if he's comparing Bridgeport, Ohio to hell, or if it's the lesser of two evils.
He's writing for himself because it's through his point of view. He's the one watching them cross through the river. But he's also writing for the women. He says, and nobody would commit suicide. So, like, he wants to know what their thought process is and why they're doing the things they're doing.
There's a lot of tensions because it compares Ohio to hell.
I think he's saying that Ohio is, like, the safe haven for them. They cross the shore on the hell side. They're in Wheeling, West Virginia, where they were at the whorehouse and doing whatever they did at night.
Obviously, we've got some sinning going on here, no surprise. It's right in the title, whorehouse. What do you think that is?
Well, they're all really depressing, for sure.
Definitely has a common theme of darkness.
Really getting a lot of sorrow from these poems.
It gave a sad sense of what Ohio is.
They all kind of surrounded around things that went on in the town, and they talked about like the different lifestyles of the people there.
Of being tied to the great state of Ohio.
We'll talk about the environment in some way or some shape or form. They're very different, though. Very weird.
I am not fond of his work.
Not my favorite.
He did a good job with describing words with adjectives and pronouns.
Just really ambiguous. you kind of want to know more about what he's trying to say.
Definitely interesting, but I think it would take some time and maybe understanding of his background and where he grew up.
Poetry is a form of art, and therefore art is expressing, and expressing what? Expressing emotion. So the sole purpose of art is to express emotion, which he does well.
I felt like that was a good effect.
You think about geography, it also can make a connection with readers, like if they're from Pine Island, Minnesota, or Wheeling, West Virginia, or Martins Ferry, Ohio, they might feel more inclined to read it or understand where he's coming from.
I think it really brings a realness to the poems. It makes the reader connect more.
Very well placed imagery. I didn't really have to think too hard about how to make it appear in my head because he did that for me.
I guess it kind of gives you like the feeling that you're there, kind of desolate almost feeling to it.
The titles just kind of set the scene.
These are the feelings he was getting from perhaps living in these places or just visiting these places.
He references the particular cultures and happenings relevant to the time periods in those cities.
I'd say keep going at it. You're doing good. Poems are pretty descriptive, so you got a bright future ahead of you, and brighten up a little bit.
I would comment that like he has just an interesting way of writing because he is more like ambiguous in his writing, but it's also kind of relatable.
I think I would ask him why his poetry is so dark, like what happened to him in his lifetime to make him think that.
That the dark tone set forth by his poetry is appreciated.
Stop making poetry.
I'd say, why did you include cities in the titles? Why did you make it so long?
Why have you wasted your life?
And now I'm gone.